Welcome to another episode of Invigorate Your Business with George Stroumboulis. Today's episode comes from Athens, Greece. I'm here with my business partner, Chris Hartswick, and we're doing a lot of different things. We have brand new potential client meetings. We're meeting with existing partners. We're filming podcasts. We're visiting job sites. We're hosting networking events. We're team building with our employees here in Athens, and we're covering so many different things. We're really excited to be expanding our business over here. We're gonna start talking more about what we're doing internationally, how we're cultivating global clients, and just some of the ups and downs of being able to do this and advice for the listeners at home. So enjoy this episode starting now. My name is George Stroumboulis, and I'm extremely passionate about traveling the world, meeting new people, and learning about new businesses. Join me as I sit down with other entrepreneurs to learn about their journeys. This episode of Invigorate Your Business starts now. We're sitting here with Chris.
Yes.
My business partner.
That is I.
Some may say feels like a life partner, even though we have wonderful life partners.
They're okay.
Co-founder, partner in war, and we're sitting here in Athens, Greece. Got in here yesterday, leave basically in the middle of the night today, tonight, tomorrow. And it's exciting. This is the 50th episode, right?
Yes.
That's kind of crazy over the last 2 years. First episode with you was 2 years ago, talking about your career path and how we got into this. That was 2 years ago.
Crazy.
And look, what we've been doing over, scattered with a bunch of different interviews of just random business people, learning from them. We've always, every few episodes, got together and started talking about trials, issues, building a business, things we're learning, things we're screwing up. That's kind of been our progression over the years. And we've always touched upon international business. So I think it's fitting. 50th episode. We're in Athens, Greece here for some serious major meetings in a day and a half crammed in. We're going to focus on international business on this episode. Okay. And obviously specific to us. So talk to me just about Athens in general. We're here. We have a big, by the way, this is going to be a very short 20, 25 minute. Because we're hosting a cocktail dinner tonight with various friends, some family, clients, partners, employees, just bringing everyone together for a few hours.
Yeah. Get
drunk, get on a plane and go home.
Perfect.
Yeah. So talk to me, Chris. How is Athens and what does it mean?
It's good, man. It's interesting now. Even, it's funny you said 2 years ago, but it's almost basically a year and a half-ish ago was when we fully established officially in Greece, right? Registered, opened the office, got set up with the government, all the nitty-gritty that we had to do. And it was one of those things like we both believed in at the time, or else obviously we wouldn't have done it. But it's still, when you're going through it, it's kind of hard to truly see that future, right? It's kind of hard to sit there and be like, okay, I believe in this, but you always kind of have that, is it going to work? Right? Like we're taking a chance. Right? And you got to be willing to take that chance in the first place. But looking back now, it's like, it feels really good. It clearly was the right decision. We've seen almost immediately, but even just, we're still meeting new clients today. We're still expanding today. Like that's why we're here meeting new clients, but just the feedback we're still getting of, oh, these are the projects you've already done. Oh, you actually have an office here. You actually have a presence. There's somebody I can call, not even for problems, but just, I have a question. You have people on the same time zone that speak my language that can meet me for a coffee. You know what I mean? Like it's, everything we've done here that we thought was going to work, knock on wood, has worked. And it's been great. And we're still expanding, right? Yeah. Which is exciting. 2 years ago,
more than 2 years ago, we were under the Acropolis. We did our launch party. Mm-hmm. And like the one line you had in your speech, I still remember it was, why are we here? The strategy on why we're here. And you said it was like, at the time, it felt like it was such a good business decision. Mm-hmm. And then fast forward 2 years, at the time, we had 0 projects to show for here in Greece, right? Why we built here in Greece was to support Europe and the Middle East. Fast forward 2.5 years later, 2 years later, we're meeting today with major developers in this country, major, top 5, and we're able to showcase projects that we've done, major hotels here, not 1 or 2, but multiple hotel projects where we've been doing our custom bespoke lighting, architectural lighting, and really being able to do that. Today, we were talking about a cool project with a client that tonight, after this, they're going to go and review, and it's for a UNESCO heritage site to do this custom lighting for, again, we can't get into details, but it's ancient ruin from 2000 plus years ago that we're lighting and bringing attention to this with the government and this partner, and just seeing their energy and them appreciating it. And, we saw in multiple meetings where they're like, wow, you guys are really here and established, right? So it's just cool seeing that. The team here is great. The team internationally supporting what we're doing here has been incredible. So having an international team is great. Again, we're here in Greece because we're supporting Europe, right? And what we're doing. So,
well, and I was just going to say, what's even cooler, honestly, it's cool, right? Like I feel like it's okay to say that as a business owner, but again, won't use names. There was one company we've been dying to get into. We've tried everything we could to get a meeting. We've had some sort of periphery meetings with people over the last 4 or 5 years, even before we were established here, trying to get in because we knew how big of a developer these guys were.
Right.
And today we had that meeting finally. But not only did we have that meeting, we had it because they reached out to us because they've seen what we've been doing with their competitors, with,
absolutely,
business adjacent sort of cooperative businesses to what they own. And they're like, wow, okay, maybe we should meet these guys. So they reached out to us to set up the meeting. And that alone is just such a cool progression of
absolutely,
we've been dying to get there. And then finally they reach out to us and are like, hey, when can you get here?
Yeah. Well, and absolutely. And last week was, hey, we would love to meet. When can you be here? Chris, what your schedule this? I could squeeze out a day and a half next week.
Right.
And the other side of that is we show the urgency. When it's important, we drop everything, and just being here and showing them. And then their first question was, thank you for coming. What other meetings do you have? And it's like, no, this was our anchor trip. There's always business to be had here.
Sure.
But it's very important. And then just the projects we're doing and we're winning, we just stay in our lane. We're always truthful with what we do. We're always transparent, and good partners find us and we find them.
Right.
Right. So some categories here, and just talking about international business. We've been pushing Ideoli close to a decade, just over 8 years. It's going by quickly, right? Yeah. And we've experienced so many different things, but just some categories on affecting our business and some comments. So I'm going to throw out a topic. We're going to talk about it, how it affects our business. So the first one is just global supply chain disruptions. So this is obviously a huge factor. We're not just working in one state or some states in the United States. Our whole supply chain is global, from the manufacturing, from the logistics, from the freight, from our clients. Our products are in over 30 countries around the world, which by default, we're inviting just issues to happen with what's going on. Over the years, we've faced COVID. Obviously, the world has faced that. Ongoing wars. And you could say, well, how do the wars affect you? And it affects everyone.
Right.
Inflation, freight, routes, everything being disrupted. And then just government shifts in countries. In nearly 10 years, in many countries, you're seeing one or two or three different prime ministers or presidents or leaders. And we're exposed to that based on different tariffs, different everything. So we've been exposed over the years, right? It's made us stronger, wiser. It's broken us down at times. And, just talk to me about just facing this supply chain disruption nonstop.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what it is. It's nonstop because there's so much involvement everywhere, right? Whether it's pirates off the coast of Cape Horn in Africa, right? Or, there's a crash in the Panama Canal, or, there's some type of service strike, whether it's in France or the trucker strike in Canada or the port strike in the US. Like there's always something, no matter where you're going, there's always something that happens, a typhoon in the South Pacific. It's just, no matter what you think you can prepare for, it's never, I don't want to say it's never enough, but we're just always sitting there pivoting and like, okay, well now it looks like we're going to try to find a train route across Southern Asia to get it to, the Middle East. And then we're going to truck it up from the middle. Being able to pivot, or not even being able, having that necessity to pivot.
Absolutely.
And just kind of take these things as they come. But really part of that is being prepared in the sense of having the network, right? Yep. Having phenomenal freight forwarders that can help us out and help us jump in and navigate all this stuff.
And there's an example on that, right?
Yeah.
Just on the freight forwarders. And obviously we're not going to name names, but we had a very significant order last month that needed to be delivered in New York City, right? And in preparing for this in timeline, the natural route you would say is, okay, on a boat, down the canal up to New York, right? Adds an extra couple of weeks. We decide, okay, the best route is Los Angeles on a boat. Then we'll train it, truck it, or air it depending on timeline. And we're in. And we're shipping. And once the client found out, they're essentially yelling at us like, why wouldn't you ship to New York? And why LA? And when we're explaining it's 2 weeks more on the water to go to New York, there's some disruptions happening. We can air freight it one day from LA and shit. It still wasn't resonating with this individual. And the crazy part, and obviously we can't foreshadow this in any way. We don't have a crystal ball, but we do that 3 days after it hits the port of LA, New York goes on strike. Right. Major strike. So this would have been delayed even further. Right. So we have enough experience. We've been rocked so many times in our career that we've learned, right? And we always try to navigate. But that's just an example of, right? And after that, it's never back to the client like I told you so. This is why, you should be working with us. We always have options and scenarios to go through.
Absolutely.
Yep. Which leads to the second one. So geopolitical tensions and business risks. Kind of tied into the first one, but when you decide to step out of whatever country you're working in, you just expose yourself further, right? So one thing we always do at our company is different scenario modeling, right? Like, okay, if we're in the States and, a former president increased tariffs and everything we're importing right now is going up significant percentage, what else do we need to do? So we were exposed to this early on and we pivoted and we started looking at other markets to build our clientele, not just here in Greece or in Europe, but Canada, Latin America. So we're trying to build a business and we're doing a pretty good job at, God forbid one of the markets is being affected by politics or changes or the economy. We're not 100% dependent.
Right.
Pre-COVID, we had that 80-20 rule where 80% of our business was from 20% of our clients. Right. So we've pivoted and I think we've diversified coming out of there because we've been burned so much.
Absolutely. Well, and not only just on the client side, but, again, coming back to why are we here right now in Athens, meeting with our team and our employees at our Athens office, having the office now, we've been able to further expand our manufacturing as well, right? Like we're now working with manufacturers in Northern Greece and Eastern Europe. So, we're still heavily dependent on Asia in terms of manufacturing, but we're not only dependent on Asia anymore. And,
exactly.
And that keeps getting better and better. So regardless of where the product's coming from, where our clients are, we have this ability to kind of shift around as needed and use different hubs that we've established around the world.
Absolutely. Next topic, right, just in this whole thing is technological advancements in business. So the biggest thing, and again, by no means are we experts in AI, right? But we're starting to see it more and more in just our business, whether it's from the marketing side, the customer service side, which is the most obvious, but you're starting to see it on just the logistics planning side and being able to write different scripts and pull different information. It's affecting it across the board, right? Just being able to use these tools and you're seeing different markets affected by it. But we're exposed to just these technological advancements.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely.
Yep. Next one, evolving customer behavior and market trends. So basically we're seeing it more and more, is our clients want to just reduce the amount of time that they're exposed to lead times, to their money being out on the street. So we're seeing a dramatic shift to clients wanting to just find readily available product with the quickest turnaround so they could just release orders and have it within weeks on the site. Where typically you could save a lot more money with a longer lead time and we can manufacture, stock it for them, right? Even though there's savings, a lot of them are choosing to pay a little more and not have to carry that money. So it's changing the way we're addressing things as well.
Yeah. I mean, simple answer. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why we've been expanding the manufacturing network, right? It's to be able to respond quickly and to have product faster and really be able to deliver faster because of those new, I mean, I guess clients have always wanted the product fast, but really pushing that has definitely become a new trend.
Absolutely. Next topic, international trade policies and economic shifts. So it's tying into everything, but we've been dependent on certain countries from a manufacturing standpoint.
Sure.
And being pushed around the years of, we should be focusing here and diversifying. It's very challenging, right? With the type of business that we do and the amount of sub-suppliers that we need in that network. You can't just get up and go to another country overnight.
Right.
But we've been working to diversify, do more assembly procure components in one country, do assembly in another, do straight up manufacturing in another country, just kind of mitigate those risks. But just talk about, from your standpoint, what you're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the benefit we have is we can do things like focus on the components where we really want to make sure, like if we're talking about an LED product, right? You really want to make sure you have a good driver and you got a quality LED setup, whatever that is. Your LED boards, all of what we do is custom from an LED board side. We're placing our own boards, all that stuff. But when that is 90% of what we're worried about in terms of warranty and longevity of the product and all that, that's also something that you can easily throw hundreds of in a small box and air freight, right? So just expanding, really focusing on the manufacturing network and expanding things like molding ability, expanding things like, material ability throughout the world and getting it from different areas and bringing that in. So it's truly just assembly wherever we're trying to go. If we have a client in Europe or in North America, whatever that is, being able to really bring it down to it's just getting flat, sub-assembled, no actual processing of materials or molds or anything like that, it makes it a lot easier to react. And it also makes it easier to react faster because the only things that we have to rush in at that point are the physically small products that, from a shipping logistics standpoint is easy to move around quickly.
Absolutely. That's been a huge change for us.
Yeah.
Last point is just talking specifically about Ideoli's global expansion and just strategic initiatives, right? So tying this all in, what have we been doing over the years to really change this? So talking about it high level related to Greece, since we're here, there's major developments for us going here in Europe, right? We've started working with some major clients in the States that are expanding into the UK and across Europe. We have another major client that we signed with a partnership in the States where we are their distribution partner across the European Union. And all of that is being managed, controlled, quarterbacked from Athens, Greece. Right. So we've recently invested in an actual warehouse here in Athens. So not just an office for a project management team and design and so on, but we actually have a physical warehouse where we're stocking several types of different products. We're able to ship that anywhere in Europe within 3 days or less on a truck. Right. And we've really doubled down and invested further here. And we chose Athens as our strategic hub because we're already doing business here, right? People think that it's tucked away in Southeast Europe, but again, you can be anywhere in Europe in 3 days or less. You can't even say that about the US because it's 5 days or less in the US, right? So just talk to me about some of the initiatives that we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think the most recent and arguably, other than opening the office initially, the biggest thing has just been that warehousing, because that's also bringing us to the table with government bids and large scale projects that we know have multi-phases and it's going to be rolled out over 1, 2, 3 years. And, they need that type of support to be able to sort of store and have it readily available. And maybe they need to ship some stuff back because they're delayed for whatever reason on their construction side. So, things like that has just made it easier, made us appear more flexible to work with from our client standpoint, and giving them that flexibility. We're just getting so many more contracts, or at least we're now at the table negotiating so many more contracts in the last, 6 months simply because of the addition of the warehousing.
Absolutely. And just last comment. So we've been here, it's going to be 48 hours, right? 2 full days. And in 2 days, we're not sitting there like before when we were coming here. It's like, hey, we could peel off 3 hours and go up to the Acropolis, or we can go swim. It's literally every hour is accounted for in hour increments. And, we're doing some content creation. We're filming podcasts. We've met with 6 or 7 key clients while we've been here. We visited 2 different job sites. Tonight, we had a little gap towards the end of the night before we head to the airport. We're going to do a 3-4 hour networking event with partners and everyone, bring them together. It's like, come here, maximize every minute and get out. And then, reinforce partnership with our team here, back home, just being able to be on the ground. And there's clients that we have projects going on here now where they're like, oh, this is great. You're not just a company that shoots in here, shoots out. You have a footprint here. And it's just important to do that. Now, the challenging side of that is, we're in over 30 countries and you have strategic partners everywhere. You can only be so many places at once, but we're trying to balance the best we can.
Absolutely. I mean, the other part of it, honestly, is like it is good to, whether it's clients or like you said, even with just our office and our employees over here, it is good to spend true FaceTime, not just always be through Skype or whatever that is. But really be there in person and interact and walk the job sites and get a better understanding of what they're trying to accomplish. And it's always just phenomenal to try to pull that off and spend some real in-person time with people.
Absolutely. We have a networking event to get to.
Yeah.
So this was good. It was quick, covered some stuff. Let's just keep it moving.
Absolutely.
All right, baby. Thanks for listening to this episode of Invigorate Your Business with George Stroumboulis. Please hit the subscribe and like buttons and follow me on all the main podcast streaming channels. Also, please share your comments when you can. I appreciate your help in expanding this network to a worldwide audience. Until next time, stay invigorated.